Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 6th June. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 7. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, 5 Arab powers severe ties with Qatar. So Qatar is a West Asian nation here and 5 Arab nations, 4 all together in a row. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain and Egypt simultaneously cut ties with Qatar. Also later, Yemen and Maldives have severed ties with Qatar on the allegation that it is supporting terrorists and militants. So indirectly, it is also considered as Qatar being targeted because it is supporting Iran. Iran and Saudi Arabia rift is historical. The way we have India-Pakistan conflicts, the same way Saudi Arabia represents Sunnis and Iran represents Shia. So this Sunni-Shia conflict and the conflict between these two nations is also age-old. So now we are seeing this action being taken. Also, Saudi Arabia has specifically targeted Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera is the news agency, public supported news agency of Qatar. It has also been soft towards Iran, and these are not to the liking of Saudi Arabian government. So this is there. Also, Qatar is hosting the military base of USA here. So there is a huge US military base in Qatar. Also, Qatar is the host nation for 2022 FIFA World Cup too. So this nation has been targeted. Specifically, the Islamist organization which is supporting is Muslim Brotherhood. So Muslim Brotherhood had come to power too in Egypt. So it was a Prime Minister, Mr. Morsi, which was supported by Muslim Brotherhood, supported by Qatar, which was not to the liking of the Egyptian power here. So that is why even that government came down, and now Qatar is also being targeted for its support for Islamists. So this we are seeing. So these militants being harbored is a known fact regarding not just Qatar but Saudi Arabia too. But since they are rivals, this is the action being taken. Also, you should know about Saudi Arabian war in Yemen. So in Yemen, Saudi Arabia has initiated a war against Houthi rebels. So even Qatar was participating in this war along with Saudi Arabia. Now Qatar's inclusion in this war has also been severe. So Qatar will no longer be supporting Saudi Arabia here too. Plus, it is being alleged that they are supporting the militants. So this is all coming out. Also, Qatar planes will not be allowed to fly over the airspace of these nations. Saudi Arabia has clearly stated it. It has asked the nationals of the country also to leave within a week or two. Even the diplomats have to leave the nation. So such actions have been initiated against Qatar. Also, they say that Al Jazeera, it is also supporting and broadcasting the ideology of militants. So various militants news, etc. come through this news agency, satellite channel, which is owned by the government of Qatar. This is there. So here you can see. So this is the diplomatic rift. Of course, Qatar denies any such support. It has, but it is supporting. Muslim Brotherhood is a political entity too, which is supported by Qatar. Even Hamas, which is in power in Gaza Strip, is also a political party, but it is armed as well. So it's having its armed militant wing too. So this is also supported by Qatar. So this support of Qatar is known as such. So this is being targeted now. So the flashpoint of this action, the trigger for this action by these West Asian powers was that Qatar's state-run news agency Al Jazeera ran comments by the Qatari ruler criticizing anti-Iran sentiments. So this was not to the liking of Saudi Arabia. So it's actually stated that Iran is being targeted. Behind the scenes, it is Iran. Behind the curtain, the front, we see Qatar being targeted. Actually, the action is against Iran. So that is there. Qatar, you should know, it's the biggest exporter of liquefied natural gas too, and it is also having the highest per capita income in the world as well. So you can see it is 1,29,700 a year. That is the per capita income in Qatar. It has a huge amount of asset in its sovereign wealth fund. Then the next news item is India successfully fires heaviest launch vehicle. So this is regarding GSLV Mk3D1. This we have discussed earlier too. This is the heaviest launch vehicle of the country so far, and it is carrying the heaviest satellite till date, that is GSAT-19, which will be placed into a precise orbit. So this GSAT-19 is weighing around 3,136 kg. So it's the 4-ton category satellite. So it's more than 3 kg. 3000 kg means it is 4000 kg. 4 ton means 4000 kg. So the such satellites earlier have been launched through European Space Agency's Ariane rocket, and that too from French Guiana in South America. So here again the GSAT 18 satellite will be launched later. So GSAT 19 has been launched now. GSAT 18 is soon to be launched from French Guiana. So this is the launch which is going to take place, because with GSLV Mk3D1 again a satellite launch so soon cannot take place, and GSAT 18, GSAT 19 both are communication satellites. So these communication satellites are required. You can see it is to be used for our communication technology improvised. It's having Ka, Ku bands, high throughput communication transponders, which is there on GSAT 19. It also has this GRASP payload, geostationary radiation spectrometer. So this GRASP payload is going to monitor and study the nature of charged particles and the influence of space radiation on satellites. So this component is also there along with the transponders. Transponders are transmitters, responders. So these are the ones through which communication satellites function. So help in communication. So this is there. One important achievement which we have done through this is that we have used our own indigenous cryogenic engine technology in this satellite. Earlier, the launches which have been done using cryogenic engines were not completely indigenous. They were based mainly on Russian designs. We have trying to procure cryogenic technology from Russia. Russia was ready to provide it to us too, but USA objected. So after that, we have been trying for years, decades now, to get cryogenic technology, achieve it, and finally we have achieved it. This is completely indigenous cryogenic engine which has been developed and which has helped GSLV launch GSAT 19. So this is one major achievement by India. So cryogenic technology, what is it? We'll discuss that too. And so far, India is the 6th nation to acquire this. The other nations which have cryogenic technology are USA, UK, France, China, Japan, and the 6th one is now India. So these cryogenic engines we have discussed in the keywords on 3rd of June. So in these keywords you can see what cryogenic rocket technology is all about. It is mentioned here. So cryogenics basically means very low temperature. Cryogenic temperature means very low temperature. You can see below 183, minus 183 degrees Celsius to minus 253 degrees Celsius. So such temperatures are very low temperatures called cryogenic temperature. So what happens is a cryogenic engine uses cryogenic fuel or oxidizer. So either fuel or oxidizer or both are in cryogenic stage, means at very low temperature. So gases are actually liquefied. So the reason for doing so and how this helps is that in a high thrust engine, when you require sufficient thrust, such rocket engines need high mass flow rate of the oxidizer and fuel. So that sufficient thrust is generated. So this high mass flow rate, if you want with gases, then gases have to be at highly pressurized. So these pressurized gases have to be stored, and such gases will take up a huge amount of size and mass of fuel tanks, which will result in the payload space getting lesser. So then you cannot carry heavy engines. So for that purpose, rather than having pressurized gases, gases are brought down to such low temperatures which makes them in liquid form. So these liquefied gases are there, and such required mass flow rate is also maintained, and you have sufficient space to carry heavy engines too. So this is the gist idea behind these cryogenic rocket engines. So you can see ISRO developed this cryogenic engine C7.5, which is an indigenous version, and now it has worked on this C20 cryogenic engine too. So this is the one completely indigenously developed, which we have used now. The next news item is DMOs discuss LOC situation. So this is DGMOs, Directors General of Military Operations of India and Pakistan. They held a telephonic conversation over the hotline. So there is a hotline, communication line maintained between the two forces, and this is used, the DGMO use this hotline when a request is being made. So presently a request was made by the Pakistan side, and it was raising the issue of alleged killing of civilians along the LOC. So such an allegation has been completely denied by the Indian Army, and it has stated that peace and tranquility can be committed to only if Pakistan's army's actions and intentions are to the liking, because as Pakistan army is alleged to be supporting infiltration then peace and tranquility cannot be ensured. So we are seeing that violations of ceasefire along the LOC are taking place, and these ceasefire violations, increasing firing and infiltration is what the whole issue is. So here you can see, so we see that military operations directorates have a routine discussion every Tuesday on the two sides, but DGMO speak is only when a request for conversation is made. So communication is maintained between the two forces. Next is NSG without wings for 2 years. So this is regarding National Security Guard. This was set up in 1984 under the central government. So it is a contingency deployment force to tackle terrorism. It had played a significant role in Mumbai terror attacks too in 2008. And after that also regional hubs of NSG was formed, because it was seen that NSG to reach a particular place in the country takes a lot of time. So that is why Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai and Kolkata are the 4 regional hubs of NSG now. Presently, the news is that NSG is without wings. It has no helicopters. So the only 2 helicopters which were available with NSG are no longer functional. One of them is grounded and other is unfit to fly. So one of them, these 2 helicopters were Mi-5 helicopters. So one had crash landed 2 years ago. So this is a situation which has been put forth before the Home Ministry too, when a review was being done, and they have stated that this can be acquired from BSF, Border Security Forces Air Wing 2, or the Air Force can also provide us with the air coverage as such. So this is what is being demanded. So helicopters are required when you want to make interventions in small areas. So it helps in quick air mobility as well. Then the next news item is India's biodiversity riches grow by 499 species. So in India, in the last 1 year, 313 new animal species have been found and 186 new plant species have been discovered. So this had been brought out on World Environment Day on 5th June by Zoological Survey of India as Animal Discoveries 2016 and Botanical Survey of India as Plant Discoveries 2016. So these are the 2 organizations under the government which look after animal and plant species, and their surveys being conducted. So here you can see the 4 biological hotspots of the country where most of these new species were found were the Himalayas, the Northeast, Western Ghats and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So these are there. The animal species which have been found have now the complete list if you look at, including the new animal species, and we have crossed the 1 lakh count. So animal species in the country are now 1,693,000. So we are one of the 17 mega diversity countries in the world. So we have 6.42% of the global fauna, animal species. So this is there. And in terms of plant species too, the most discoveries were made from Western Ghats. Now coming number 1, Eastern Himalayas, Western Himalayas, Eastern Ghats and the West Coast. So new plant species also you can see wild balsams, which all had come in news. Wild ginger was found from the northeast, and also new varieties of mushrooms have been found. And this is a floral species which has been discovered from Ratnagiri district in Maharashtra, Corinandra elegans. So this is there. Next is Nepal-China Inc. Mega Hydropower Agreement. So Nepal is having a huge hydroelectric power potential. It has many rivers and mountain river systems. So it can be an energy producing power hub, but instead it imports a huge amount of electricity, and the major country which provides this import is India. So Nepal is dependent significantly on India. We have also invested in hydroelectric projects here, and we also source this hydroelectricity from them. So Nepal does not have electricity as such within the nation, but it has the potential. So this is there. So now it is also having its close relations with China. So we are seeing that Chinese companies are also establishing hydroelectric plants in the country. 4 hydroelectric plants, 3 smaller hydropower plants are currently being built. Also one larger one, 750 megawatts plant is also being backed by China. And now what has been announced is 1200 megawatts Budhi Gandaki hydroelectric project. So this will be built again. An agreement has been signed with Chinese company. So this is being stated. So Nepal is having closer relations with China now. Of course, it is not to the liking of India. So both the nations, India and China, are neighbors to Nepal, and both compete for influence in this region now. So here you can see 2 large India-backed hydroelectricity projects are also being built after years of delays too. So Nepal has been suffering because of the political condition there, to political situation after the monarchy had been abolished and Maoist party had given up arms. Maoist insurgency also ended in 2006. So the monarchy was overthrown, and still the country is seen to have not finalized its its political setup. So now elections are due, as we know. Local elections are going to take place, and finally reaching up to the parliamentary level elections, and a stable government is what would take this nation forward now. And the last news item is trade deficit with India will not hurt US. So this is regarding US President Donald Trump. He has asked for a review being done about trade relations with various nations. So this was an executive order that unfair and discriminatory practices by our trading partners cannot deny Americans the benefit. They deny the benefits from free and fair trade. So these have to be looked into. So this order of March 31, 2017, it was asking for a report from US Commerce Secretary and US Trade Representative that within 90 days, these significant trade deficits have to be put forth before the government. So here in this case, now what is coming forth, India is highlighting that India is also having a trade surplus in goods with USA. So this trade surplus which we have is not significant. So that is what India is trying to say. So from 2011 to 2015, India's contribution to overall trade deficit of the US is only 2.5%. While that of China is also having a huge trade surplus with US. So China's contribution to trade deficit of US in the same period is 43.9%. And other nations are also mentioned: Japan, Germany, Canada, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, all are higher than India's trade deficit. So India's contribution to trade deficit of US. So that is why what a point which has been made by CII, Confederation of Indian Industries, is that India is not the one which is a major contributor to US trade deficit. So this points are being made in the context that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to meet President Donald Trump soon. So this is the ground being laid for that, the talks which will be held now. Also, a point made is that this trade deficit which is there too is not because of lack of market access. There is no market access problem because US has a huge market share and US products are present in Indian market. So balance of trade issue is not to be considered as a market access issue as such, is also being highlighted. Also, there are other issues which are to be raised between the two nations: visa curves from USA, the non-tariff barriers which are placed by USA, also delay in talks regarding totalization pact, that is social security pact. So totalization agreement also we have discussed earlier, that what India wants is that when Indian nationals work in USA and there are social security deductions done, like pensions, etc. If these deductions are done by these nations, and if the Indian national is now coming back to the country, then these deductions have to be transferable. So that provision has to be there, and that is what is called totalization or social security pact. So this is also being demanded by India. So this is there. And also one more point which American manufacturers generally make is that there is excessively high tariff on imports for many manufactured products. Even US President Donald Trump had spoken of high-end motorcycles, specifically Harley Davidson. So 100% tariff is imposed on such imports by India. So this is also a fact in place, but that is not in general for all commodities. So this is there. Plus another thing is that India is highlighting this Confederation of Indian Industries, that USA is the second largest exporter to India after China, regardless of the trade deficit which USA has. So though India has a trade surplus, still USA is the second largest exporter to India. So these are the news items. Thank you.